Welcome, everybody. All right, we're going to go ahead and do an ASA firewall. Now, we're not going to do it in the packet tracer. We're going to do it in EVE-NG. And the reason I decided to do that was simple. In the packet tracer, I mean, you can configure it. It works just fine. But it's more realistic when you do it in the EVE-NG with the real iOS. There's certain commands that don't work in the EVE-NG. It's not the same. And when you're putting in passwords in EVE-NG, it actually tells you that you must use uppercase, lowercase. You know, there's little requirements where in the packet tracer you can just do Cisco and you'll be fine. All right, so this is the reason why I'm doing that, so we can get an idea. So let me take you around first the topology so you know what's going on. So what do we got here? We got obviously PC switch. There's a firewall right there, 2 routers, another switch, and the PC. Now this PC right here, VPC7, I'll show you. It already has an IP address. I put it in there statically. So that is the IP address, and that's the gateway, which is this point right here, and we'll ping 2.2.2.254 in lowercase 2.2.2.254, and you can ping the gateway, which is right here. If we go to router 2, all right, which is this one right here, you can see that I have OSPF running, all right, and it's routing for these 2 networks, the 1.1.4 and the 2.2.2.0 with the 255, all right. And if we do a show IP route to take a look at the routing table, we see that we only see this network. Well, we see up to this network, okay, and that's it. We're not going to go any further than that, all right, because I have not configured the firewall yet. So I can ping 1.1.1.6, which should be that right there, because this is not there. Sorry, 2, because this is 1.1.1.1 will be with a 252 or 30-bit mask. This should be 2 already, and we can ping. So we can literally ping all the way up to this point right here. So you can see what's going on. So OSPF is the routing protocol of choice. All right, so OSPF is the routing protocol of choice. The routing is configured on the routers, and we have connectivity from VPC7, which is this PC right there, all the way up to this point. That's fine. Now, VPC6 has no IP address. Why? Because we're going to configure a DHCP server on the actual firewall to assign IP addresses to the PC. All right, we're going to do several housekeeping commands, not something major. It's just some basic housekeeping commands. A username and password for management purposes. We'll enable SSH, things of that nature. All right, so you can see now, one important thing as we configure the firewall. Now, let me show you this again. You see that it says private, right? It says private right here and public right there. That is important because you will be naming your interfaces. And once public was private, the main difference between a private and public, it's the you set the security levels. So a public interface will set a security level of 0. Okay, that's no trust. I do not trust you whatsoever. In the private, we set it to 100. It's like, yeah, I trust you 100%, right? So 100. And you'll see as we go through the configurations, and I'll talk you through it, you'll see what's going on. So let's go ahead and get in there. So this is the ASA, and there by default it has no passwords. Now in the packet tracer, once you type enable, all right, it says enter a password. Now you don't have to. There is no password set. It's telling you right here. It won't tell you that. All right, you need to then configure a password. Here's giving you the option. Okay, enter the password that you want. Now I already have a password that I wrote down in my notepad. I don't feel like typing it up because my typing is horrific. I'm just going to copy a password, which is Cisco, using numbers and all that stuff. And I'm just going to paste it on here for my notepad. And I'm going to paste it again. And then that means that just right now, I went ahead and set a password, which is Cisco with using the number 1, right? For instead of the I, and a 0 instead of the O. And then I have $1, $2, $34. Because you can't use ASCII characters, more than 3 ASCII characters together, or more than 2 actually. If you have 3 ASCII characters together, it'll give you an error. So right here, you are setting the password that you want. So you enter a password, then you confirm it or repeat it, and that's it. Now, in the firewall, there is no copy run start. It is WR mem. It says it right there, write memory. Okay. It says here copy running config, start config. No, you write mem, write mem. That's the command you're going to be using. If you're using the packet tracer, that's the only command you can do. All right. And you can do it from anywhere. There's no do. All right. All right. So let's continue. So with the housekeeping, and just to show you what I'm using, let me bring it over here. See that? That's the password. All right. I just got it. I don't want to put it in the way to confuse you. And then I have all these things written down. So these are just basic configs. All right. Basic configs that we're going to use. So let's go ahead and do that. So now that we've done that, we're going to go into global configuration. All right. And right here, that's something that Packet Tracer doesn't say. I just say ask later. All right. Get that out of the way. I'm not going to do it now. Right. To make even G better or Cisco, whatever the case may be. I'm not going to do that. So I'm going to do a couple things. Now, I'm going to create right now the enable password. So enable, and put it in caps. Enable password. Now, I cannot put Cisco, and I'll show you. Enter. So no. It says minimum allowed password is 8. Oh, okay. So let me up arrow. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. But you're going to get another error. It's going to say, no, 3 consecutive repetitive or sequential ASCII characters for a password is not allowed. So you can't do that. You can't do that. That's why I got my little special password here. And I'm just going to copy it in here. I'll up arrow again, get rid of that, and then paste it. I'm going to put a little fancy password in there, and then hit enter, and you won't get that error. Now, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to create a username and password. Now, you can do this separately, or you can do it in one line. So I could just do username, LDiaz, password, and then I'll paste my password. And then right here, I can do privilege and the normal privileges that you would get. I'll put 15. I can do that in one line. Do that all in one line. Or you could have just said username, LDiaz, and then you can put password, attribute, enter attributes to command mode. So you can do different things one at a time. So I'm just going to go ahead and do it one line. All right. Just put, hey, username, LDiaz, password, the actual password, and then have level 15 privilege. All right. That's normally what we're used to anyway. The next common thing we're going to do is going to set the clock, right? We need to make sure that our clock is synchronized, but at least set the clock on what you're doing. So clock set. My time right now is 11:56 in the morning. All right, so we do 11:56. I'll just put 30 seconds in here. Whoops, 30 seconds. All right, what happened? Okay, 30 seconds. Yeah, I'm not gonna do that. I'll do that later. It says install the ASV platform license. I'll do that later. And now we're gonna put the actual date. All right, so you're gonna put the day. Today is the 20th for me. I am in Thailand. 20, and then the month is October, and then 2024. Clock set. Pretty simple, pretty easy. So now we're going to go into the interfaces. All right. So the first interface I'm going to configure is the G00, which is in the private side. All right. We're going to do int G0/0. All right. Let's turn it on, and let's put an IP address on there right now. IP address. So as you see, it's kind of similar to what we do in the routers. 172.31. What is it? Oh, 1.0. Okay. How to make sure. 172.31, 1.254, 255.205.205.0. Right? But now we're going to have to give this interface a name, because that's how we're going to set the security levels. And when we start doing that and all these different things and creating policies, we are going to name the interface that this is going to be for. So we're going to say name if, and that's, listen, one of the things you need to, at first, when I started doing all this, is like, what? Name if? What does that mean? It is what it is. It's called name if. All right. Haven't gone into the reasons of why that is or what have you. That's just the way it is. All right. Name if. So the name if is going to be private. And this is case sensitive, just so you know. And we'll question mark this so you can see. So it says, give me a word, 49 characters. Okay. So I'm just going to say private. Some people put inside and then outside. I don't. I put private. I'm different. And I'm going to hit enter. Now you can see that the security level for private set to 0. That's not what you want. You trust the private network. Not really, but for lab purposes, we will. Security. Remember 0 architecture. Security hyphen level. And you can see the range is from 0 to 100. Here, we're going to set it to 100, which I fully trust you. Now, if you had a DMZ, you can set it to, I think the recommended is 50. Or you can do 50, 60, 70, whatever it is. You have some sort of trust to that. Definitely the public side of this, you're not going to trust. So that would be the G01 interface. So we're going to do int G0/1. Then we're going to do no shut it. And then we're going to do name. Okay. Name. Where's the letter I? Name if. And then now we're going to give it the name, which is public. That's me. And again, it's case sensitive. Be very careful. Here, even though it says it to 0, you got to go in there. Go in there. And the security level, you set it to 0 yourself. You got to make sure that that is 0. Okay. So that is right now the some basic configurations, giving it a host name, setting the clock, putting the IP addresses on the interface, and then naming the interfaces, what they are, private and public, and then setting the security levels. All right, cool. So let's go ahead and write that. You can see I'm in interface configuration mode. Normally in the router, you have to do. So I can just do it from right here. And I don't have to do a do. It writes it for you. You don't need to do that here. Now, the next thing that I'm going to do is configure DHCP, because I need that PC below me, right, on my LAN, to be able to get an IP address. So DHCP DHCPD. Again, it is what it is. DHCPD address. This is where you do your scope. And if you don't know, remember, question mark is your friend. So, and the information, the definitions that they give you here, descriptions, they're pretty good. It says address. Oh, it configures the IP pool address range after the keyword. Oh, okay. And they're pretty intuitive here. It's pretty nice. I like it. All right. It's a lot better than, some very vague description. You're like, okay, that didn't help. This helps. All right. So DHCP address, that's what I want to do. I want to create a pool. So it's going to be 172.31.1. Let's start it at 20. No spaces, no spaces, no spaces, no spaces. 31.1. I don't know, 100. Okay, but now you're not done, because now you got to tell it what interface, and you can see them right here, is this going to apply to? It's going to apply to the private interface. All right, and then that's it, CR. Cool. But you need DNS as well, don't you? So DNS, you can say DHCPD, and then you say DNS. All right, and then you're going to say 172.31.1.15. And now you configured a DNS as well. But it's still not enabled. You configured the pool. You configured the pool of addresses. You've configured the DNS. Great. And the pool of addresses is pointing to the private interface, which is the one going towards your LAN, but you still haven't enabled DHCP. So let's go ahead and do that. DHCP-D, enable for who? The private, right? And let's question mark it out so you can see what it's there. All right, and let's save it, right, mem? Okay, so it's written. Now, let's see if this is working. Let's test it. Let's go to the PC. All right, and we're going to do IP, lowercase. Oops. IP DHCP. Dora. And we got an IP address. Awesome. Now, one of the things, there's certain things with the firewall by default. By default, the ASA firewall has some things that, well, you're not going to be able to communicate until you create access lists. A lot of these things that we configure here are access lists. You can do class maps, which will then be a policy map, because you want to take certain actions on it, and then you apply the policy map. Okay, but normally you do a lot of things with ACL. So knowing ACLs is going to be very important. You need to know ACLs. So like right now, if this would have been the packet tracer, that wouldn't have worked. You got to allow that traffic. So in the packet tracer, everything's like just denying everything. Where here, it's not. It's not. Here, what's denying, and you'll see it, I will not be able to ping VPC7. Once I do my routing and all that stuff, I still won't be able to ping VPC7 because I'm going from inside to outside. It's not going to happen. We need to create ACLs to allow us to do that. All right, now we'll configure very basic ACL. Justin, we'll have to do a whole bunch of friggin' lines. We'll just get it done real quick. All right, so understand that your firewalls already have configured certain policies, actual policies that will deny a lot of things. So you need to go in there and tweak that. All right, so let's go ahead and go back in. All right, so there's the PC, and we're gonna do a show IP. Where am I? Show IP, and you can see everything that's there. And you should be able to ping your gate. Come on now. You should be able to ping your gateway 172.31.1.254, and you can ping your gateway. Cool. So let's go back in the firewall. All right. So now what we're going to do, all right, since we've done that, we're going to do then if you're going to SSH into it, we're going to do some authentication for that. All right. So I'm going to do I'm going to do AAA caps, AAA authentication for what? Here we go. Let's question mark it. SSH. That's what I want for the console. Okay. And it's local. Is there anything else? Nope. That's it. Enter. Awesome. So AAA authentication. It's not radius. We're not doing radius. SSH. All right. Now we need to create, just like in the router, right? We have to configure a crypto key. Now crypto key generate, sounds familiar, generate RSA. Oops. RSA what? RSA modulus. You can see it right here. Okay, provide the number of modulus bits on the command line, and not mod. Oh, modulus. All right, let's tab that through. And then here you got 2048, 3072, 4096. I'm just going to pick 2048. That's it. I'm not going to non-confirm or anything like that. Now, it says some already exist because there's a default RSA key. You want to replace it, and you got to do it lowercase. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. So that changed that. Now, let's do some tweaking in SSH. Just two little lines. No big deal. First, we have to tell it to use SSH for my LAN. So it's SSH, and then we're going to put in a subnet that's going to, you can see right here, host name or ABCD, right? The IP address. The IP address of the host and or the network authorized to log into the system. Man, it tells you straight out what it's for. I mean, this is great help right here. So you're going to do the 172.31.1.0, 255.255.255.0. But we got to put what? The name. It does not, and it's case sensitive. It's not enough just to put the subnet. You got to tell it the name of the interface. All right. So it's for the private side. Awesome. And then we're going to do a timeout. SSH timeout. Tab that. Let's question mark that. And it's not in seconds, is in minutes. So we're going to put 5 minutes. All right. It's going to time out after 5 minutes if you don't do anything. Pretty easy, pretty simple to do. Not a big deal. Very basic stuff here. Okay. And all this is RTR, ladies and gentlemen. Get out 5 firewalls and do it over and over and over again. That way you can make mistakes and then you can fix it. All right, so let's do the routing. Now we're going to be doing OSPF. And one of the things that you're going to find out different, and I'll do it on purpose so you can see that it does not work the way we do it in the router. So router, OSPF 1, all right, router ID. Oops, similar, right? Let's do, I don't know, 3.3.3.3. Okay. And then network, here we go. Network is going to be, there's 2 networks that I'm attached to. The 172.31.1.0. Normally in the router, you would do this, 000-255, right? Area 0. Now I'm going to hit enter right now just to see that it's going to be a mistake. It says invalid address mask combination. Why? Because it doesn't like wildcard mask. So you can't do that. You literally got to put the subnet mask, which is fine because in the routers, if you were to put the subnet mask, it'll change it to a wildcard mask. So in the firewall, can't do that. You got to put the actual mask. Okay. And the other network is going to be 1.1.1.0. 255.255.255.252 area 0. All right, DWR. So there is OSPF configured, but that's not enough, right? I want to just in case. Oh, I'm sorry. WR. They're going to say, "Hey, ambiguous command. What do you mean DWR?" It's force a habit. All right. So one of the things that you're going to do is also do a default route. Okay, so default route different than how you do it on the router, but it's same purpose. What it's going to do, if there's a network that's not in your routing table, you're going to go ahead and then use the default route to get out. Okay, so you're going to do route outside. Is it outside? No, it's route public. Sorry. So that's why I'm so used to that. People outside, inside, I don't do that. Route public. Okay, because you can see that it says right here, which one? Null, 0, private, public. It's public. And then you're going to do what you normally do, which is 0, and then the next router's hop address, which is 1.1.1.2. Now, you could, if you want to, put in there the distance metric for this route. Default is 1. You can change it if you wanted to. I'm not. I'm going to just hit enter. So we've created a default route on the. I did Control Z to do that just to get out. So you can see the navigation is pretty much the same. So it's not going to be a big deal for you. WRMEM. All right, let's write that. And let's do a show route. And you can see I have a default static route, but I'm not learning my, you see, ping 1.1.1.2. Oh, it's not letting me. Let me check that router. It could be that right now it's blocking it. So let me go ahead and go into the first router. Enable. Show IP in brief. And that's there. So it's good there. It's got an IP address. Show IP protocols. And that is there. Okay, so both are there. Let's go back to the firewall. And let me just to show you the difference real quick. Yeah, here I can do a show IP in brief. Right, show IP in brief. Take a look at your summary. In the firewall, it's kind of backwards. It's a show interface IP brief. All right, and you can see, there's an issue right there. I don't have an IP address on the G01. So it's backwards. It's not show IP in brief. It's show in IP brief. Whatever. It is what it is again. All right, so I'm going to do interface G0/1 IP address 1.1.1.1 255.255.255.252, and then no shutdown. DWR. Oh, force a habit. All right, and we should see something coming up here pretty soon. Let's make see we can ping 1.1.1.2. Now we can ping. We should be getting an update from OSPF shortly. Show IP or show route, I should say. Show route. Well, it didn't tell us, but there it is right there. So I can ping from the firewall 2.2.2.1. I can ping all the way across. So I am routing right now within the firewall. I'm inside the firewall. Look, I didn't change the name. Something very basic. Host name, FW, I don't know, 1. Whatever, perimeter firewall. Everybody calls it the same thing. I was going to do the same thing, DWR. All right, so right now, what we've done is, again, these are basic commands to get things up and running. And we do have connectivity. We are routing from the firewall all the way to the host because you're in the firewall. Okay, but what about from the PC? So let's minimize this, right? And we're going to get into the PC and we're going to check it. Now we were able to ping, as you can see right there, we're able to ping the gateway, but we're going to be able to ping the VP7, which is all the way on the other side. You should not be able to. We should have to create an ACL in order for that to happen. All right. But again, what we've done so far is very, very basic. All right. So let's go ahead and get back in there. Boom. And I don't want to care about that. Let's go back into the firewall. Well, I want to verify that I can't ping. Ping. No, lowercase last. Ping 2.2.2.1. And you see it's a timeout. I can't. So what we need to do is to be able, we're going to create an ACL that's going to allow us to do that. And I'm going to create, it's such a generic ACL. I'll create 2 lines. And you're going to see it's like, damn, lads, you're allowing everything. Access list, caps, access list, white cap, so I can see. Access list. And now with the access list, you got to give it, it's going to be a named access list. So it's public. There's a word. It's not a command or naming the interface. It's just a word. Access list. Now, what type of access are you going to create? I'm going to create an extended access list. Okay. What are you going to do? I'm going to permit. What are you going to permit? And you got a ton of stuff you're going to permit. Well, I'm going to permit, okay, ICMP to who? Okay. You're going to say ICMP, and you got a ton of stuff, as you can see right there, that you can permit. Okay. We're going to permit ICMP from anybody to anybody, from source to destination. Yeah. Okay. And then we're going to do access list. Yeah, this is where I go insane. Public, same access list as a named access list. It's still an extended access list. I'm going to permit. It's going to go crazy. Permit IP, any. Now, you've created the ACLs just like anything else. Just like in a router, just because you created an ACL doesn't mean that it's working. You now need to apply it. Here's a little different the way you apply it, but I'll tell you how I kind of look at that. All right, when we're writing it out, because it's not going inside an interface to actually apply it. Okay, so we're going to do access group, same command, right? That you would do under an interface. Access group, what group number, right? Numbers are a number or a name. In this case, a name. Spell it correctly. Public access. All right. And now what? Well, in where? To the interface. What interface? The public interface. So that way I look at it, I'm going into the public interface. That's the way I look at it to let me go where I need to go. All right. Do WR. Oh, right mem. Okay. Now let's see if we can go ahead and ping. Are you kidding me? I'm allowing everything. Really? Let's see something. .2. Okay, so it's still blocking me. Let's take a look at the ACL where I did something wrong. Hey, and this is all about troubleshooting. Show access list. And you can see the access list here. Access list, public access, line 1, extended, permit, ICMP to any. Okay. And then public address here, extended, permit, IP, any. I mean, I'm allowing everything. So let's call it the same, right? It is public. Oh my God, look what I did. Public address. Yeah, let's get rid of that. No access hyphen list. That's what I get for going fast. Public hyphen address. Silly man. Incomplete. Extended. Really? No access list, public address, extended. Still incomplete. I gotta write the whole thing. All right. Oh, that's not. Here it is. Okay. I won't be lazy. No access list. Okay, I can just up arrow, can I? Public address extended. Permit IP any, and then, but the first one is good to go for the ICMP. Let's take a look if that took effect. Show access list. Okay, we got public access, extended, permit ICMP, any. All right, and let's do the other one, access list, public hyphen access, yeah, extended, okay, extended, permit IP any, okay, and this is correct. Public access, extended, permit ICMP, any. That should be good to go there. And let's take a look at the, oops. Let's take a look at the, let's take a look at the start. Show start, so I can take a look at that. Access group command. Access list. There's the router. There's the crypto keys, all that good stuff. Hold on. Let me type this. And there's policies already in there. All right, let's do a, can I do a lowercase show run pipe section access hyphen list? Nope. Interface? Nope. Include access. Try that. There you go. Access group. Oh, look. Look what I did. Look what I did. See that? So I'm going to say no. Oops. No. Okay. And now I'm going to say access hyphen group public access in interface public. Jeez, Louise. Well, you see the error, right? It could be simple things. And that's just the way it is. The cool thing, and I've always said it, that's why labbing is so important, because it makes you troubleshoot. And there you go. Done deal, right? Easy enough. Little troubleshooting, which is fine. It's fine, no big deal. But this is it. Start practicing this stuff. All right, start practicing this. It's a very simple firewall. More to come. Okay, but practice this stuff and place it in different locations. Because right now in the topology here, let me see if I can put my face smaller. Oop, there you go. You can see that in the topology, I have it here, right? And this is like be considered, I guess, my ISP. But I could have a router here or a layer 3, like this layer 3 switch or an actual router, then have the firewall, and then you start doing policies and all that. But that'll come later on for class maps and all that. But you can see this is very simple, putting in basic stuff. Okay, done deal. So take this, pause, take the notes, configure it yourself. You can do this with the packet tracer. Slightly different. It lets you get away with a lot of things. But if you have UNG, you can do this as well. Cool. I'll see you in the next one.